Anima-saurus world, and thank you so much for joining me on another Interviewasaurus. Today I'm very lucky to welcome to the microphone Jess Bull, who's the Officer and Team Leader at K.A.T.E. Welcome, Jess.
Thank you so much for having me, Kim. It's a real honour.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Hey, now, just for everyone who's kind of listening in and haven't met you before, you want to just give us a quick overview of what you sort of do as a whole?
Yeah, I do quite a lot, wear many hats, but I'm an event officer team leader at AIE, Academy of Interactive Entertainment. We teach people how to make games and films. I do a range of different things, mostly like the marketing side, you could probably say. So reaching out to people who might be interested in going into games and films and really connecting with the next generation and bringing them on and onboarding them to AIE to then see them thrive.
Cool. Oh, well, let's just start back, back at the start. This is where you are now. But what sort of got you started on your digital creative kind of journey, career? What sort of got you into this?
Yeah, I probably could go back to when I was like 3 years old and loving games and films, and especially those like the extra CD that you watch. And I basically watched all the special effects and all those extra videos that come with DVDs back when I was a kid, but let's get many years forward. At high school, I went to an all-girls school where it was kind of shunned to be into games or film and all that sort of creative, like digital creative stuff, but that only made me want to do it more. So always had my Mac laptop in front of my normal school laptop and just like playing around with things. Final Cut Pro was like my favorite, and also playing Left 4 Dead and Half-Life 2 in the middle of English class because wasn't a big fan of English class. But yeah, like then moving on, I found AIE. So actually a graduate from AIE. I did the game art and animation course, wanting to go into the industry and be an environmental artist. Like I really love environments in both games and film. Also wanted to be like a set dresser or designer for like on stage production. So I've always had a bit of like a flair for just all this creative work and seeing something fully come together. I love seeing even today, like people showing short little animations or modeling of something, and next minute it's in something. It's pretty amazing.
Cool. Yeah. You got exposed to the industry in Sydney there, but you didn't just kind of stay in like one little corner. You branched out and actually tried reaching out to the community as well, didn't you?
Yeah, so when I was at AIE as a student, I actually kind of talked to the marketing department and just said, hey, what can I do? Can I help out with anything? Can I carry brochures to an event? And like thankfully they helped me, they let me attend some marketing events, and I really got a flair for helping like organize these things and being a part of something bigger, which then made me kind of I created this networking event as a student still. So we had, I think it was 2 or 3 times a year, I helped organise all of AIE in Sydney to come together each year, because it's over 2 years or 3 years, and we all come together and have a meet-up and networking night so we could all know each other, because obviously at some point we're going to be working in the industry together, so may as well be friends now. So then that kind of carried on for a few years, and even when I graduated, continue doing that. So that was my first little touch of like organizing events and getting kind of the industry together, even though it was still within AIE. I then also kind of connected with IGDA to do like networking events as well, just helping out with them, carrying tables and things, and then started to then organize some like global game jams and things like that, which really connecting to the industry.
Say the global game jams are a big event. So what was did you know about them before you got into AIE, or?
Not in. I only found out about them when I got to AIE. I did participate. I participated in 2, and then since then I think I've run 3 now, which has been awesome. Seeing just so many different people who have studied at different locations. We use AIE as a location to run these events, but it's really cool to see the community to come together, even though there's some who are still studying or some already in the industry. So we have like people from wargaming and chaos theory games. They come and they mingle with the normal students, the peasant folk.
The starters,
Yeah,
the
the
normal
normal
people.
people. So it's really nice to see the industry and people who like powerhouse industry people coming in, and they actually don't sometimes work together. They all split up and then go with other students just so they could meet each other. So it's always really nice to be a part of that and to also then see them progress and even like get jobs at some of these studios as well once they've graduated.
Yeah. Well, how has that been growing? Because with everything that's been going on, like the Global Game Jam wasn't specifically about being in a location; it was quite open. So has that been has COVID really affected any of that sort of back end stuff?
So the last Global Game Jam was actually in January, so we were able to have that, and that ran fine. There has been actually a couple of people from overseas who have reached out, actually last week, reached out about organising an online Global Game Jam, but it's a bit more of like competition style, where Global Game Jam, there's not really always prizes. It's always just about, let's see what we can build and let's grow together and make something fun. But yeah, there's soon to be some other online global game jams connecting developers from across the world as well. So
watch this space for games. Ooh.
Yeah, really much.
You got really interested in the games industry because that was, like you were saying, you were trying to get into environment art. So down there in Sydney at the moment, since you're inside the education part, what's the industry sort of feel like for games down there?
Yeah, it's actually growing over the last maybe 2 years. We've, with help with Game Plus, which is a part of AIE, it's a co-working space. So we've got a whole bunch of studios actually housed under one roof. So, and that's kind of right near AIE and a lot of other universities that teach games and film. So the area in Sydney is actually it's feeling a lot more alive than it has maybe going 6 or 7 years ago now. But yeah, the last couple of years, it feels a lot more livelier. And since all those studios are under one house, or one roof, they can all talk to each other and get support from each other, and other developers going in to use that space and then mingling with those other powerhouse developers, and kind of, it feels like it's growing. And especially, I also feel during COVID, there's been a lot more, I guess, jobs out there. Like I've seen a lot more like emails are coming through saying, hey, we've got these job openings. So it seems like things are moving.
Yeah. So coming out of it on the other side of it, especially if you're a student, you think that you're optimistic that there's going to be quite a good pickup for people to be heading into.
Yeah, it's definitely growing. Definitely. I feel like every year, the last, I would say 2 years, it's only growing. And with COVID and everything, I don't think we're moving back too much. Yeah.
So is there, so with that, is there like a particular sort of platform or anything that's sort of taking off more than anything else? Is it like educational games, or is it doctora games, or is there any particular thing that's sort of growing?
A bit of everything. Educational games have come up in the last couple of years as well, and a lot more students are kind of realizing that this is also a huge market. There's a lot of students, they always think, oh, I'm going to work at Blizzard or make the next MMO. Like, you have to kind of sometimes start small, and especially in Australia with the mobile development is so huge, and it's growing. People, they're realizing that, oh yeah, this is definitely a market, and of course we're moving to online studies. There's a lot of these like opportunities to make games for training and education.
Just touching on that as well, since you've come into online, how did you have a huge? Was there a huge structural change for you when COVID did hit?
Yeah, it was actually really surprising. Well, so our whole marketing department at AAE kind of moved around a little bit. We had a restructure, and right as COVID hit, I was actually promoted to event officer team leader. So we have a whole new department doing events for AIE and brand awareness, and attending high schools to talk to students and just saying that this is an industry that you can get into. But events, obviously, we can't do them. So being a new event team, we had to come up with strategies and do online presentations, online workshops, weekly live streams. But it's kind of made us grow a lot more in using technology for these streaming, like using streaming platforms, and also reconnecting to our alumni. So we've been actually doing weekly live streams with graduates from A.I.E doing amazing things, and it's been really awesome to have that connection back with our alumni and just reconnecting to our people and just finding out what they were doing and you know.
So what sort of things did you lead into right after you graduated?
So it was actually quite interesting because I've done a lot of stuff within A.I.E, not just a student, but try to help out as much as possible, and just I love networking and communicating to people, and with my kind of backstory of going to an all-girls school and not really being allowed to explore this sort of industry, and it was just dance or singing or sewing were our main subjects that a lot of the students did. I actually created a work experience program at A.I.E and was landed my first job at A.I.E straight after I graduated. So it basically allowed students in year 10, 11 and 12 to come to A.I.E for a week. I actually taught for that whole week. It was 9 till 3, and it was basically each day I created as a new job that they would do in the industry. So one day they're a concept artist, one day they're 3D modeler, one day they're an animator, one day they're a game designer, one day they're a programmer or a game engine, or they work in a game engine. So it's kind of like a fake job. So they would be an animator. I would teach them the tools that they would need to make a basic animation, and then they'll have a deadline that they'll have to work towards. So each day they got to experience what it would be like to work in the industry, because it's really hard in Australia for people who are interested in this industry to be able to go to a studio. Like I'm sure like Animalogic or Wargaming, they don't really have the time and the effort and the money to support a program like that for year 10 students. So I got a job doing that. Straight out of A.I.E.
So going on to that, this you do get to see a lot of like school leavers, like people who are actually really interested in finding out more about it. So what's the common questions that you get asked from school leavers, especially about what the industry is itself?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there's many questions from, is this a real thing? Can I do this? Is this happen in Australia? Oh, my parents won't like this, or they want me to do medicine or something like that. So most of the time it's just telling them, basically running off a list of studios that we have in Australia, and really finding out what they want. Not that what we're trying to sell them. It's more like, is this right for them? So if they're creative, if they like programming, if they've done 3D or thought about game design, it's really just connecting with them on that level, and then saying, yeah, well, we can offer that as a course, and then this is your outcome. You can go to Animal or maybe ILM, and just listing a whole bunch of different studios and different pathways that they could get to that. Talking to the parents are always very fun.
Well, what's the main question that the parents ask then?
What's the salary? That's always a fun one to answer. And once again, a lot of people are really surprised, especially how big the film industry here is in Australia, and how much it is growing over the last couple of years as well. And then the games industry, how we're really connected to like mobile app development all over Australia. And there's a lot of remote work as well, and in the cities as well. So there's always a lot going on.
The thing I've been watching recently is how technology, especially in games, has really ramped up, especially the Unreal Engine. So how do you go about, how do you see that Unreal Engine integrating? Do you think it's going to bring more of the industry together?
Yeah, that is a good question. Well, they're actually like teaching Unreal now to year 7s. Wow. So there's a lot of interest with it, both in the industry and at high schools. I'm sure from seeing that they're putting that into their curriculum, that it is going to take off. It is taking off. There's still, in the industry, there's still a mix of people using Unity and Unreal, or using their own engines. But with the technology with Unreal and the connection to virtual reality, and also the range of different things, a range of different games that you can make. So all those like educational games are definitely, you can see that's happening a lot more now.
You just hit VR. VR, I think, is one of the really developing industries which is coming out, because you imagine a virtual classroom with a VR helmet. You know, if you had everyone with a VR helmet instead of going home to be homeschooled, oh my God, that would be an unreal learning exercise. So,
No
yeah.
pun intended. Yeah, I feel like we're getting there with Unreal. Sorry, with VR. Sorry. But it is still quite expensive, especially like I could definitely see going into like Ready Player One style, and everyone has the headset on from the book or movie if you've seen that, and being educated that way. If we all have to stay at home these days, it would be awesome if we can all just chuck a headset on. But it is a little bit expensive at this point, so hopefully in a couple more years' time that price will drop, or there'll be different lighter versions, you could say, of the headset, so making it more accessible for players or users, and then helping developers then develop.
Yeah. But well,
that.
you still need something for it to run on as well. So you know what platform you're still working off of too. So we talked about getting people in and what people want, and where the industry's at now. But what sort of innovations are you seeing sort of happen, and where do you think people are going to be able to innovate within the say a 5-year space?
Are you being like in the industry or within AIE or within high schools?
Oh, okay. Well, let's go for the schools first, because I know the schools is one where that's where people are leading. That's where they're getting the first touch of the industry by themselves, is in schools. So how do you think the schools are going to innovate around leading people into the industry?
Yeah, well, like at the moment, it's coming very popular for people to not only in senior class where they can do electives, but from year 7 they're able to do a game design subject, and also do 3D animation as a subject, and they go in a couple of times a week, they do an hour subject for that year. And so they're already starting so early. It's scary. And even some year 6s, I've heard that they're already coding games to a very high level, which is slightly scary.
So they might have the soft skills, but still they've got to develop the skills around what gameplay is and how to actually do it. But their knowledge of the software will just be ingrained. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. It's already there by the time they hit senior classes, and the teachers are then also learning. I've met some teachers who actually while they were studying at uni doing teaching degree, whatever they do. Also, some of their units they learnt 3D modeling and animation. So that was their their side units. So then now when they're at the school, they can then teach 3D animation as a subject.
Oh, wow. Yeah, multi-skilling. Yeah. You're like, I'm a teacher as well as a 3D artist. Hooray!
Yeah.
Just a throwaway thing. Oh, yeah, this 3D thing's just on the side. I guess another thing which I really want to ask someone within education is 3D, there's some software that's been around for so long that's really had a grip around the industry, that being Autodesk. Do you think that there's slowly more and more things coming up to fruition where they're going to be, especially in education, they can use something like Blender, which is, open source? Do you think there's going to be more students wanting or demanding to learn more about that?
Well, at the moment, especially like at AIE, because we teach Maya and it is an industry standard program, a lot of people have come from Blender because that's what they were taught at school. Or because they could get their hands on it because it was free. They understand that there is a lot of different software out there, and some of the free ones, even some studios are using some of the free 3D modeling programs. But once you really know one software, a lot of those skills are transferable. So a lot of the times there's been some students who have been working, they do the same project, but they do it in Maya and then in Blender. Like they do it side by side, or they do Unity and Unreal. They're doing the same thing just so they're keeping themselves active and learning these platforms and programs, so then they're more they're able to get a job in more places.
Yeah. Got themselves so that they've got another tick on their belt to say I can do this and this.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. So I'd like to thank you so much for sharing some of your knowledge with everyone, Jess. I really appreciate your time. Is there anyone you want to say hi to while you're here?
Hi, Mom, I made it.
All right, thank you very much. Thank Anima-saurus World. If you ever want to get in contact with Jess, just try looking her up through the AIE website. I'm sure she'll find you and kind of give you as much information about them as possible. But until the next time, we'll say